Welcome to the Main Street Business Insight Podcast,
featuring the stories of America's downtown and neighborhood entrepreneurs.
There's so much about being a Main Street business that is intertwined with what it means to be part of a community.
The impact that it has on creating jobs, occupying vacant storefronts, improving the quality of life, this is a big deal.
What advice would you give to other Main Street businesses?
Investing in yourself is the most important thing that you can do.
What was that experience like for you to reach out and, learn from others?
Any entrepreneur getting into business, I highly recommend find the people that you trust that'll tell you the thing you may or may not want to hear when you need to hear it, and who will stand by you in helping to solve your challenges.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Main Street Business Inside Podcast. Today actually finds me in Livingston, Montana, where I'm going to do a double header. I don't know, that's a baseball reference, but that's what we're going to do today. And so first up is going to be Dale Sexton, owner of the world famous Dan Bailey's Outdoor Company. And the original Dan Bailey's fly shop was actually established all the way back in 1938, folks. And quickly became the number one store for all fishing needs, helping to popularize the sport in Southwest Montana and frankly around the world. And so it's really exciting to have Dale here. Dale's carrying on that legacy, and we're going to explore his journey to really taking ownership of this institutional business in downtown Livingston and really continuing to growing the brand in this, what is really a hyper competitive outdoor recreation industry that's experiencing massive shifts from consumer preference and certainly even distribution strategies overall. So excited to explore that with Dale and many other subjects we're going to take on this morning. And as many of you know, Main Streets around the country have a robust outdoor strategy in many respects. And so I think we'll be able to pick up some of that in terms of the store's role with community as well. So welcome to the show, my new friend, Dale Sexton.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, good
Pleasure.
to have you.
Yeah,
and thanks for letting me come into the store this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome.
Yeah, we like to start with the journey,
sure,
as the audience knows. And so can you share a little bit more about taking over the ownership of this legacy brand in Dan Bailey's, and what experience or influence really helped to shape your decision to go this route?
Yeah, well, Dan Bailey's, I'm trying to come up with the abridged version here because actually it's the long story is a couple of hours, but frankly, Dan Bailey's has been fundamental in my life way back to my youth, actually. And my family was very engaged in the outdoors. My mother and father drug me through the woods at a very young age. Thankfully, because it's brought me to where I am today. They were quite elderly relative to my peers. My father and mother were retired by the time I was fully engaged, so to speak. But that gave us a lot of time together, primarily fishing, although I've got so many fond memories of hunting with my father as well. And so Dan Bailey's was it. And I bought my first fly from Dan Bailey, and Dan died in 1982, and his son had taken over the operations. And Dan was active in the business up until his death, but his son took over operations, the management in the late 70s. And so I went to work for Dan's son, John, in 1983 when I was a senior in high school, and I hardly knew anything about fly fishing, but what better place to learn than in the hallowed halls of Dan Bailey. And I've got a lot of really great stories around that too, about my naivety around fly fishing and getting to know the storied people that would be here on most days. The guides,
like icons coming
in. Yeah, literally. And here I am, just pushing a broom around the shop, kind of like a mouse in the corner, listening to really
stars in your eyes.
Yeah. So I worked here for about a year and a half. Early on, and then went to college and worked here my first summer out of college, and and then met an outfitter in Alaska, spent the next 5 years working in Alaska. And then when I got out of college, it was time to get a real job. They offered me a position here at Dan Bailey's as retail manager, which I admitted it was time to get a real job. So I came to terms with that, said, because it was when I got back from Alaska, it was like they interviewed me in like October, and I'm like, well, it's bird hunting season. And then I've got ski season. I'm like, can I start like in March?
You
like,
got to
"Yeah, you
work
can."
around your outdoor schedule.
Yeah, exactly. So I started in March and worked here for 4 or 5 years, and then guided for a couple of years full time, and then opened my own business. But always having a strong connection with Dan Bailey's, because I would walk by here every day on the way to my other business, which I opened just down a block down the street. It was a hike, bike, ski store called Timber Trails.
So that was really your first foray into entrepreneurship.
It
Open up
was,
your
yeah,
own spot. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Curious, did
Yeah.
they see that as competition, or like what was that relation? Because you were working here.
Well, it's
and-
interesting, because a lot of people approached us. Hey, let's put some flies in here. Let's sell
Yeah.
a couple fly rods. But frankly, I left that ground to Dan Bailey's and the other fly shops in the region because we really complemented each other.
Okay.
And I didn't want to compete with that.
Yeah.
I wanted to send fishing business to them, and thereby hoping, and they did send, hike, bike, ski business to us.
Yeah.
So it was really a really neat symbiosis,
Exactly.
so to speak. And so we kind of stayed out of that. But as a fly fishing outfitter, I was still in the industry, so to speak. And so Dan Bailey's was still an important part, still played an important role in my life. I was good friends with a lot of the staff members here, many of which I hired before I left. And you really can't, this place doesn't really get out from underneath it, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so then, I don't know, probably about 2016 or 2017, started having conversations with their sales manager at the time about the prospect of Dan Bailey selling. And it was quite a roller coaster for 3.5 years or so. It was kind of stop and start conversations. And literally COVID happened, and that's when the rubber met the road. And the day COVID happened, and I have a partner actually, really good personal friend of mine, lives in Kansas City, and he had seen Dan Bailey's. We've been fishing together for about 25 years. We got about 35 years of fishing history with his father, and his father asked me, "Hey, my son loves the outdoors. I want to bring him out to fish."
Yeah.
And which he did, and we established a really neat relationship. But so the day COVID happened, literally, I walked down here, and John Bailey is sitting behind his desk, and his eyes are this big, and my eyes are this big. I'm like, this is kind of weird. I don't know what the hell's happening. And we've been making some pretty good progress, more than we'd had in the years since, about conversation around purchasing Dan Bailey's.
Okay.
I'm like, this is going to happen. It needs to happen now, or I need to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's get the lawyers to draw up the papers. And we assumed ownership on April 15th.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was crazy.
Like, yeah, right in the heart of
Right in the heart of COVID.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was so crazy. But I've got a saying, you don't know if you don't go. And
Right.
we went hard and fast. And we didn't know what it was going to be like transitioning. Dan Bailey's had fallen on some hard times. It wasn't the most vibrant environment in here, but the flame was still going.
Yeah.
But it was more of an ember,
Yeah.
and we really
Sort of
didn't-
living on that legacy of brand.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And we weren't really sure what it was going to take to revitalize that. So you've got this patient that felt like it was kind of in the ICU, and it was literally one rescue breath, and it just went, poof, it just took off. So
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, there at the time, I mean, I can certainly recall when people were, stay at home or businesses were shut. Like people wanted to be outside, so I can only imagine the craziness at which people were purchasing supplies and gear and like, I want to be outdoors, or just flocking to this area because it was away from major cities or what have you.
It was a little zany. You know, at the time we didn't know you weren't going to be able to be in an indoor theater. We didn't know you weren't going to be able to go to the bowling alley. We didn't know you weren't going to be able to go to the basketball game. But by golly, you could get out and ride your bike.
That's right.
And you could go backpacking and you could learn how to fly fish. And, you know, that fell right in line with obviously what we specialize in. And we definitely, you know, getting the wheels on the bus. They weren't anywhere nearly on the bus, but the bus was rolling.
Moving, right?
Yeah, it was for sure.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the brand of Dan Bailey's.
Sure.
I mean, I have to imagine being a part of it for so long is a huge, you know, part of your life.
Yeah.
Is there a sort of weight that you feel as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, to carry that brand and its importance to this community and to people that love the outdoors? Is there sort of like a pressure there? Like, how do you deal with that?
It's a really good observation that you mentioned that, because it is weighty.
Yeah.
To carry on the legacy of Dan Bailey's, but it's really cool to be in these walls and be responsible for carrying this history forward.
Yeah,
I'm sorry if I get a little emotional
it's
here.
Emotional thing.
It's heavy, but
Yeah.
it's not just me. It's my staff. We've got like this incredible staff. You met Tom, our repair shop manager. Rob will be strolling through here shortly. And those guys do better, frankly, when I'm not here. Yeah. And
I think my staff says the same thing.
and it's also about the community, you know, because the community loves this place.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I've got a neat little story. My partner came to town after we bought it and everything was coming together, and him and his wife were at the sport having dinner, and he's very unassuming, doesn't fly the flag, just a very down to earth guy.
Yeah.
And they're having dinner. And this is like 3 months after, not even that, probably a month and a half after we opened, and they're having a conversation with their waitress, and hey, you know, what's new around town? How's it going? This is kind of crazy in COVID. She's like, yeah, it is all crazy, but you know, we're all doing the best that we can. But you know, probably the coolest thing in town is Dan Bailey's is under new ownership, and it's so amazing. And he's just like, it's just like, as he describes it, made him feel really, really good.
Yeah.
So knowing that he had, you know, put his faith behind something.
There was confidence
To a
there.
really cool brand, as well as our team and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, but it's really about the community. You know, the community really loves Dan Bailey's.
Yeah. Is there any challenge relative to, with all the changes that have to occur? I mean, I'm certain that from a consumer perspective, sometimes there's like maybe a reluctance to change. And sometimes that can be on the entrepreneurship side as well, where we're going to hold it exactly. But the world changes, there's macro trends. Is there a balance between how people perceive Dan Bailey's as it should be versus perhaps where you need to take the business to remain competitive?
Yeah, you know, and I think that, you know, that forward thinking is important. And, you know, we're engaged in that all the time and trying to figure it out, because it is a competitive business. And, you know, unfortunately, Dan Bailey's did not navigate the World Wide Web very well. And their foundation was a mail order catalog, which was industry leading. It was very unique. It was a beautiful expression of what they were trying to do here and what they did very, very successfely. They actually had an international wholesale sales force that sold their goods all around the world.
Okay.
It was very impressive. But when the internet came to be, they were just clunky and reactive. And I keep that in my mind, because we're not infallible, and trying to figure out the best way forward, the best path forward, and how to stay true to ourselves, keep doing what we love to do, which is embracing ourselves, number one, and being here for the community, but making sure that we are here, not just today, but tomorrow and in another decade from
Yeah.
now. And I have no idea what it's going to look like, but we are surrounded by really smart people, and we have these conversations all the time.
Yeah.
And I wish I had all the answers. I wish I had this crystal ball that I could look into and say, oh, hey, the DTC model is going to kill us. It's not. It's very present for sure, and we're very aware of it. But at the same time, morning, yeah, it's the landscape is rugged,
Is ever shifting.
but we're prepared to navigate it.
Yeah, yeah. And you were just referencing sort of the D2C, which is direct to consumer, right?
Yeah.
And for all the different acronyms out there, B2B, B2C, D2C,
Yeah.
it's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
The outdoor recreation industry specifically, I think, is maybe the industry that's had the most profound shifts in a quick cycle when you think from pre-COVID, COVID,
Yeah.
and now 4 years out,
Right.
basically. Talk to us a little bit about your reflections on how the outdoor rec world is changing, what trend lines you're specifically seeing.
Yeah. So, I'll talk about our bike department, for
Yeah.
instance. That I truly wonder if we'll have, and it's unusual to have a fly shop and a bike shop.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of two different
It is.
areas of adventure seeking.
It is, yeah, for sure. And a lot of people are, we got some stodgy fly fishermen who come in here. I don't want to be in a fly shop, or it's a bike shop. And they also sell skate gear. What the hell's going on here?
What's happening
Yeah.
in my place?
But there's also, and we're okay with that. We accept that. But that is who we are. And we also have people coming in saying, hey, this is pretty amazing. But to the DTC point, I really wonder if we're going to have bikes on the floor in 5 years, because that's changing so quickly and so fast. And we have so many people wheeling their bike in here. Oh, hey, I just bought this Canyon mountain bike off the web and having a hard time getting it together correctly. Can you guys help me out? Oh, we're here for that. We're glad that we get that part of their business.
Yeah. So the
But
whole
we
service element.
Yeah, but we would have loved to have sold them that bike.
Yeah.
But when they can buy that bike for $1,000 less, direct, it's kind of like, yeah, it's an eye opener.
Yeah. Do just out of curiosity, because there's also that big debate, direct consumer, like in the auto industry,
Mhm.
but there are some strong sort of association at the wholesale level or direct to retail, or
Sure.
from the wholesaler to the consumer,
Right.
that is sort of preventing some of that. Does the bike industry, from a retailing perspective, have that same sort of control or bargaining power with the manufacturers?
That's a good question. I do know that they do have some,
Yeah.
but only so much.
Okay.
Unfortunately, manufacturing doesn't happen here in the U.S. For bikes. It's all in Asia.
Yeah. Even Trek has moved a lot out of Wisconsin.
Yeah, exactly. There's some boutique frame builders and whatnot.
Yeah.
But on a mass scale, there's no manufacturing happening here in the U.S., at least not right now. I'd love to see that return. But so the bike companies are pretty much beholden to the manufacturers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, the prices have gone up. I mean, it's disconcerting to us. Livingston's a very blue collar community, and we love taking care of families. And we don't have a kids bike I shouldn't say we don't have a kids bike. We don't have a preteen bike on the floor,
Okay.
for less than $500.
Yeah.
And
So
back before
even
COVID,
the entry level has gone up
Yeah.
in price.
back, pre-COVID, we had a $399, $449
Yeah.
bike, and now it's $599. It's just like, oh, that's a lot
Is
of
that
money.
inflationary, or that manufacturing hasn't kept up with demand?
Both,
Okay.
yeah. And manufacturing is catching up, but there is this, there's this inflation blanket,
Yeah.
that just took every price and elevated it. So, it's beyond my control, your control.
Sure.
beyond the control of one person in office.
Yeah.
You know, it's global.
Is the part of the challenge then, as you're thinking about sort of the elasticity of pricing, like how far can you stretch between what consumer or your consumer can do and what the manufacturing costs are to you?
Yeah, it's concerning, and also the price changes are they fluctuate so much.
Okay.
You know, through COVID, we had a lot of bikes, then we had no bikes, and then all of a sudden we had every bike that you could ever imagine. You know, the pipeline just contracted, and then it completely opened up, and now it's to the point where we just want a playing field that's level.
You're trying to create
that
a
we can
new norm
plan on.
situation.
Basically,
right?
yeah, for sure. And I think we are moving in that direction. It's just, you know, it's just a little bit. There's a pain here and a pain there, and but it's like, you know, when we have a person that's looking at a $2,500 e-bike, we have it priced on the floor, but if we haven't checked that price in the last 3 or 4 days before we sell that bike to the customer, we do them the favor of checking the online price, because we don't feel right about selling a customer a bike for $2,500, for instance, that they could go online and buy for $2,100.
Got it.
So we might make less money, but again, it's about that relationship that you're building with the customer. Like, well, I would like to make that extra $400, but this is the price online. I'm going to tell you, bike's $2,100 online, so that's the price that we're going to sell it to you.
Yeah.
Even though that I bought it at cost, in order to make my margin, I should be selling it at $2,500.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, so that's a little frustrating.
Yeah. But it's almost like short term, long term,
yeah,
given the service element or maybe accessories
Mhm.
or whatever. If I can
Yep.
keep this customer for the long run, maybe I can make that up.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yeah. It's, you know, at the end of the day, it's only money.
Well, and I mean, that's an interesting thing, right? Like, yes, but there's a mission, and I get from having some conversations with you that there's some principle, there's some values that you hold internally as an owner, as an individual, that kind of sets the tone for the store.
Yeah. You know, I mean, when I said that it's only money, obviously we need money to survive. You know?
We call that no money, no mission in the nonprofit world.
Right. Yeah, no kidding. We're not a nonprofit, although it feels like sometimes.
Yes. maybe you want to coin that here too.
Right. No kidding. But yeah, you know, the better we can do here from a profitability perspective, the more we can, you know, give back to our community, the more we can focus on that. And that's really where we kind of find our soul. We love what we do here. The customers that we get they're somewhat monochromatic. You know, they all come in wearing Patagonia. They're all college educated. They all want to go on a super cool hike. They're great to have a conversation with, you know, and there's so much in common with them.
We call that a psychographic. You know, there's
Right.
a certain psychographic that is present here.
But I'll tell you what, we get we got a guy who used to wrench for us. He worked back in Wisconsin, and the owner of the bike shop where he worked said, the library and the bike shop get the most interesting collection of characters, and we see it, and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like a convergence.
Yeah, for sure.
Social society.
But yeah, you know, community activism for us, I don't even know what to call it, frankly, but just giving back in a meaningful way is important to us. It's part of our mission, and we do some really cool things. You know, it's not just, we don't just give money because we've got limited capacity in that regard, but we do some really neat programs, do bike rodeos all the time. We have a film fest coming up. It's a month out. Yikes.
Oh my.
That's one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. We raise money for our local soup kitchen, Loaves and Fishes.
It's wonderful.
And this will be our 16th annual. And last year we raised $35,000 for
That's
our
amazing.
little soup kitchen. It's a big part of their budget. And the community has just embraced this event in such a powerful way. You know, we always never treaded on having it on a Friday because there's too much going on a weekend. And now this is like the event.
Yeah, the event.
Now we have it on a Thursday and a Friday.
Oh, wow.
And it's really, really cool. And in fact, this year, for the first time, we curated our own films. And yeah, so we have our own film festival now. It's called the Cold Snap Film Festival.
Love it.
And yeah, so that's the energy around it and the creativity and the beauty of it. But at the end of the day, it's about raising money for our soup kitchen.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Is you look ahead in you think about the store, the local community, but also just again sort of these macro trends within the industry. Where's your focus at? How do you continue to innovate and stay sort of in front of sort of these big trend lines out there?
Well, I guess again, that's the challenge, right? And frankly, I'm a bit of a dinosaur. You know, I struggle to navigate my iPhone. You know, thankfully, I've got this younger skill set.
Know your
around
strength
me here. Yeah, totally. And but yeah, it's just paying attention. You know, one thing that really the thing that keeps me awake at night is climate change.
Yes.
You know, because that's so fundamental to our resource here. And you know, the Yellowstone River is the heart of Southwest Montana, and you know, it's challenged. We can see
warming waters or
warming waters,
not having enough
and
snow melt
lower flows.
Okay. Yeah.
And how do I solve that? That's a big one, right?
Yeah, you're right.
I can't. But you know, we're talking about establishing a Dan Bailey's as a B Corp.
Okay.
Just
love it.
Setting that up as a nod to, hey, well, like we can't solve that, but there's these little elements that we can incorporate to our business that, you know, that help us acknowledge these important issues and how we can actually contribute in a albeit small, but at the end of the day, a meaningful way.
Yeah. Does that mean that in some cases, maybe there are inventory shifts or things that you promote more? Because, you know, I know there are ski areas that it's difficult to add skiing. So now they're doing more mountain biking or that kind of thing year round, and there's seasonality or shorter seasons or elongated seasons.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I mean, right now we're nearing the end of October, and Sunday it was, you know, in the mid 70s.
Yeah.
It's almost unheard of, you know, and it's been like that for about the last 5 weeks. I want to be out. We're still fishing pretty heavily.
Okay.
We're still focusing on that. So yeah, we're still promoting that, but it's hard to want to encourage people from afar to come to Southwest Montana to fly fish in late October, because, you know, last year at this time, you know, we had 10 degrees, you know, so it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
And it's hard to rely on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially when a big part of your customer base is sort of like a tourism customer base because of the guiding.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so what do? We go fishing. And we take advantage of it, you know, because by golly, there's not very many people out there.
A T-shirt like that.
Well, our founder, Dan Bailey, you know, he said when the times are tough,
go fishing.
Or not just for him, for just anybody, just pack it up and go fishing.
Yeah.
You know, just reflect out on the stream and commune a little bit with nature and get a fresh breath.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about, you were sort of hinting at the lines, but I'm going to press you a little bit on it. What's your thoughts around, obviously technology is coming into play in so much business. There's a lot of like bricks and clicks strategy happening. With Dan Bailey's, how do you think about reaching customers on a more, you know, regular basis with social media, e-commerce? How does that play into your business forecast?
It's integral. It's critical. And we have a social media rock star. Jake McLaughlin does all of our media here, and thankfully, and you know, the print app, you know, I got a degree in marketing and a minor in economics, so I'm a believer in advertising.
Yeah.
It's core, and I love print advertising, and I can't break that. You know, I love seeing a beautifully designed ad, especially in Montana Quarterly, for instance, or Big Sky Journal. So I probably overspend there.
Okay.
And I have to. It's just because
It's
who I
core to
am.
you.
It's core.
Yes.
But yeah, no, social media, we where our ad buy, like in our local newspaper, which almost doesn't exist, sadly,
Yeah.
anymore, used to be this, but now it's this, because everybody gets their information right here.
Totally.
And it's troubling to me because the amount of information that's not necessarily accurate that
Yeah.
they get off of this, but what they get from Dan Bailey's, I feel really good about.
Yeah.
And so it's critical, and I really like engaging with it too. It's really fun.
Yeah.
How it turns so quickly. But yesterday, today's news is just, it's so fleeting.
Exactly. It's a
Yeah.
very short term, and you don't have a lot of time to capture the consumer because the flow of information is
Right.
is so much. Have you seen a change in evolution overall in the business in terms of like the percent that's more online through digital sales? And you thinking like, how do I handle fulfillment, or is it still primarily in store?
It's primarily in store, but we're strategizing on how to build our online presence.
Yeah.
And that's an important aspect for us that we're dedicating more resources to. But it's also difficult because online we're just another fly shop.
Yes.
And
It's
there's
hard
a
to
lot.
have this experience.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, for sure. As opposed to when we have somebody coming in the store, like, wow, my dad brought me here 35 years ago, and now I'm revisiting Southwest Montana on a trip to Yellowstone and a little fly fishing on the side. And it's really neat to have those conversations.
Yeah.
This is really the heart of it, and it's hard to move away from that, and we're not going to move away from that. In fact, we doubled down on that, I think, by our product selection and our invitingness to our customer base and our product knowledge, and we love our customers.
Yeah.
And we love sharing with them what we have to offer, not just in the way of product, but what Livingston has to offer in our area, and how you can have a special experience on one of our national forests.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
You're
a lot
right.
to offer.
It's not only the store, but the surrounding community and the feel that you get by just walking through the downtown and then into the store. And like, it's more holistic, I guess you
Very
could say.
much, yeah.
And that experience,
Good
I think that's
observation.
it's a challenge, I think, of so many small business owners, where you've got this in-store vibrancy that is experience. It's sort of memory driven. And how do you take that into a digital realm? I think continues to be a challenge.
Well, and I've got two young daughters, not as young as I like to think anymore. One of them just started at Montana State University. But it drives me crazy when we have a conversation because for one, I'm not really a shopper, but I will go spending time with my daughters. That's job one for me. That's so fulfilling in anything that we do. And I can appreciate that they don't always want to go for a bike ride or want to be fishing. And they love to go to Lululemon. And I love going there with them
downtown
as well.
Bozeman.
Yeah, basically, or wherever we get, whenever we go to a city, we like to go to cities every now and then. And we always make a stop at a Lululemon store. But then we'd have a conversation like, they'd rather buy the stuff online.
Yeah.
And I'm like, drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's the challenge we hold. I want to close a little bit with, you've had a long time as a business owner and as someone that contributes to community. Share a little bit about some of your advice. If I was an aspiring business owner or I'm in business right now, what sort of the truths that you hold?
Yeah, boy, I guess that if you feel that you have that drive and that passion, then follow it, have that dream and make it come true. Don't take yourself too seriously. Don't let the business become your life. Keep focused on what's important. Don't forget that family and your friends. Make sure you have something that drives you outside of your work, and make sure you're giving back to your community, giving back to others.
Really important. Dale, I just want to thank you so much for letting me come into the store today and
It's been a pleasure.
share that experience with you and the legacy of Dan Bailey's.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Really appreciate our time.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you. Yep, you bet.